Hello and welcome to the Inside Risk and Compliance podcast. I'm your host, Adam Spencer, Director of AJ Fox Compliance, a specialist recruitment agency focusing on all things law firm risk and compliance. I have seen so many people carve amazing and fulfilling careers in this space, and it really has been a pleasure speaking to people who enjoy doing what they do every day. However, one thing that has really stood out to me is how hard it can be for people to access the bigger picture outside of their team, outside of their firm. We created this podcast to share with you some of the insights, experiences, and stories of the most interesting people succeeding inside risk and compliance. In this episode, we talk to Henry Olsen, Senior Business Acceptance Manager at Mishcon de Reya, about building a people-first career in risk and compliance, and why curiosity, culture, and trust matter more than ever. Henry shares how a short-term role in financial crime sparked a lasting passion for risk and compliance, and how his career has grown from analyst to leader by staying curious, embracing continuous learning, and investing deeply in his team. We dive into the challenges and rewards of managing a global hybrid compliance function, explore how to build dynamic training and foster collaboration across time zones, and hear why the human element of compliance is just as critical as the technical one. Henry also opens up about his own experiences with toxic workplace culture and why knowing when to walk away is just as important as knowing when to commit. This episode is a must listen for anyone leading or aspiring to lead in risk and compliance. Enjoy. So Henry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here.
For inviting me.
No, it's fantastic to have you on. We're excited to hear a bit about your story. So for the benefit of our audience, can you just briefly explain who you are and what you do at the moment, and then we'll dive into the journey that took you there.
Perfect. So my name is Henry Olsen, and currently I'm the Senior Business Acceptance Manager at Mishcon de Reya LLP. Most of my work involves both like people management and policy advisory, focus on financial crime a lot as well. But I would consider myself a bit of a generalist, spanning across the field, I would say.
Okay, fantastic. And we're yet to find somebody who tells us that they were 6 years old when they decided they wanted to move into risk and compliance. And I'm assuming you're not going to change that, right? What was your journey? How did you get into risk and compliance?
Yeah, so definitely won't change that. So I would say I stumbled across it. Mm-hmm. So I used to work in law firms from the very beginning of my legal career. I come from a legal background, like law school, post-grad masters in law. I left the law firm I was working for at the time to do my LPC. And at the end of my LPC, I aspired to be a solicitor. I had no training contract. I had no job, and I need to work and come back to it as soon as possible. So I called the law firm I used to work for, and I say, I need to come back. What do you have? And they say, financial crime paralegal.
Yeah.
I said, I like that. I like that. So for how long? And I think that was the opening for me.
Yeah.
When I got to join this project, that's when I discovered how big the risk and compliance world was, and I started to take interest of it. And I said, maybe I should be pursuing my career.
Yeah, and it was a great place to get an entry-level financial crime role because Linklaters, obviously, so a top firm invested a lot of money already in the team. When the firm mentioned that role to you and said, "Would you like to do this?" What did you know about financial crime? What did you know about risk and compliance?
I knew nothing, and I have no problems in saying that. I had obviously a certain idea by studying law. Obviously, I had an idea of conflicts of interest, the rules around conflicts of interest, a little bit about anti-money laundering, but very high level. After I started in this space, I was actually talking to one of my tutors from university who used to teach our, let's say, compliance, conflicts of interest rules, and she was amazed on how big the risk compliance world. So I definitely knew nothing. I definitely had a lot to learn, and right now I still consider, like, for example, it's a difficult space for you to say, I know everything, I have seen it all in risk compliance. That doesn't that doesn't exist. No, it's a learning curve on a day-to-day basis, I would say.
Yeah. And what were you doing in that very first role then? What was a day-to-day?
So in that very first role as a paralegal, I was brought in to basically do client due diligence checks. It was around the period of the EU Fourth Money Laundering Directive, where all business had to act quite quickly to bring the client records to the level of the Fourth Money Laundering Directive. So I was brought to a short-term project to do CDD. For me, that still has been my best experience. I think what I learned in that role, and they found it like what I learned. There are many things that I learned in that role that will still apply today. So it gave me a very strong foundation in the different types of entities and what type of due diligence goes with what. And we know that the Fourth Money Laundering Directive was a huge piece of legislation that still have ramifications to today. So it gave me quite a good, solid grounding for what I do today. So
it was a great opportunity out of nowhere, and also fantastic timing to be getting involved in that space. So when you landed in that role at Linklaters, where was your head at? Were you going into the office, doing your job, getting to grips with that, coming home, doing training contract applications still? Was your head half in that world, half in risk and compliance?
Yeah, I think in particular, whilst I was a paralegal in those first, it was a short 3 months project. I think, particularly in the first few months, my target was I need to learn as much as I can. Yeah. I need to land a training contract. This is just a stepping stone job. I was not seeing it as my potential future career. But I think as a personality, I'm quite curious in everything I do, no matter which industry or all the different industries I work. So I want to do it. I want to learn it, and I want to do it to an excellent level. So as I started to get involved and started to get to know it a bit more and started to observe what was happening around me. So we are talking about Linklaters. Linklaters has been has had a risk compliance department for a long time. Like Linklaters, Freshfield, a lot of people that come from these firms went on setting up quite solid risk compliance functions elsewhere. So I can definitely say that it was a great opportunity to learn from the very best in the market. So when I started observing what was happening around me and seeing what the analysts were doing, I said, this is quite interesting. It's quite interesting. It's quite, it's regulatory, it's legal. So it had the key ingredients that I was looking for. And for me, and I think that's the reality for most law students, if that's your background, you think that there is just one path to pursue. It's either you go, it's training contract, or you do your bar course, you become a barrister, and that's it. If you don't do that, there's nothing else in the legal industry, and that's definitely not true. So for me, it was I think by the end of those 3 months, and when the opportunity to become an analyst surfaced, I was more convinced that yes, I'm going to invest. That's going to be my career. And
here you are.
Exactly.
Awesome. So the role did carry on. So you had the 3 month contract, then you got offered an analyst role. And then how did things develop from there?
Yeah. So the role carried on. I think at the very end of it, two positions as an analyst had turned up, and I think the experience that I got in those 3 months were so essential for the broader scope of the role. So one of the managers came to me and say, there is an opportunity as an analyst. Would you consider, to want to explore? And I'd say, absolutely. I wanted, at that time, I wanted to stay in the team. I didn't want to go. I was quite interested about it. So I had an interview. I had to go through a proper interview process. And one of the things I remember from that interview, which was with a person I admire very much, Azal Haidari,
Mm-hmm.
who has been here in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She say, look, why do you want this role? I understand you want to become a solicitor and so on, but like you have to understand that this is the career for many people, right? To become a big career, including, and I remember saying like that's my career.
Yeah.
So I think she was just trying to tell me that take the opportunity, invest on it, make your career. Don't use it as a stepping stone. If you want to become a solicitor, that's what you want to pursue.
Yeah.
You have to focus on that, and that resonated with me, stayed with me forever. I think it was critical for me to hear that.
Yeah.
And say, wow, I have an opportunity, I can let it go.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So obviously a really impactful conversation at that point in your career. And then how did you feel after that conversation? Was it, was there a sort of different energy in terms of throwing yourself into the space?
Yeah, it was difficult. I would say it was a very big learning curve. As you know, both, at the time as an analyst, I would deal with both conflicts and AML.
Yep.
So it's like end-to-end process, as we call in the industry. I would say conflicts of interest varies between firm to firm.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It depends on, the conflict rules are the same set in stone. And I always say I compare it to maths. So the rules are there, but the applicability of it is completely, nuanced. So if you're doing with commercial conflicts, you have to understand what does that firm appetite, or how do they manage their relationships, right? So that was a big learning curve, particularly in an organization of that side, understanding who were the prime clients, what are the deals they were trying to target. So you have to, as an analyst, you already have to get to understand quite a lot about the client base of the firm. In terms of AML, and I would say that's when we jump from maths to a very gray area. There is no absolute answer. So you have to look at the big picture to see the risk. Yeah. And again, it changed from firm to firm. Whilst Linklaters was a firm with a very low risk appetite. If I compare it to Mishcon is a firm with a very high risk appetite. So very challenging learning curve. Yep. But I think what made me succeed, and it still make me succeed on a day-to-day basis, is the curiosity. You have to be curious about that space. You have to find the time to learn a bit more beyond the request that you are dealing, beyond your day-to-day. Yeah. If you are to progress in such a massive industry, you can't be locked to what you learn in your bubble, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll touch on this later as well from a management perspective in your current role, but there's loads of things I wanted to ask from what you just said. But in terms of the curiosity piece, do you think that's something that can be learned? Are people either curious or not, or is it maybe something that can be unlocked or encouraged? Or
not, you can definitely encourage it. Not everyone will have the same level of curiosity, something that very tied up with someone's personality. But I think you can and you should instill that element of curiosity within your team. I always try to tell my team member, look, in particular in the current generation, it's difficult to get people interested and excited about the day-to-day job. And I always say, like, the job as an analyst can be the most exciting, the most boring job in the world. There is an element of repetition, but it really depends on your mindset on how you approach it. Like I always used to approach my searches with a lot of curiosity, wanting to understand who is this client, what do they do, what is this deal all about, what is the, what are we being asked to do as a law firm, and then you go deep into the investigation part of it. So it's like that level of curiosity. I used to be quite hooked. It's like playing a video game.
Yeah, really, get to the next level.
Yeah,
what else am I going to find?
And that's what I tell my analysts. Like, curiosity. You really have to approach it with curiosity. You really have to make the most, as much as you can, to understand what's the client and what's the matter that you have in front of you. I try to instill curiosity to training. Training is something that I like very much. I love to deliver training. I never approach training with a person with having a bit more experience training junior members of the team. I always approach it as an exchange.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think there is very little value, but that's my opinion. Some people may think differently. I think there is very little value in creating a slide deck, a PowerPoint presentation, and chucking all the regulation there, and just talking people through the regulation. You are, in my opinion, you would not developing the best analyst in the world if you do that.
Yeah.
But I think making the training more dynamic, making it more scenario based, trying to find tools. Come on, we are in the digital era. There is so much out there to instill that curiosity in the team. For example, I remember, I would say a year ago, so I was delivering a training about source of wealth, source of funds, and I really needed the team to understand, one, the difference between source of funds and what you can do to, how you can build that profile and that picture. So I remember I got one of my paralegals to play an actor.
Okay.
And we recorded this like a bit of a funny gig, playing an actor on how they were trying to instruct the firm, and bit by bit we would work through that case scenario and try to extract the information. Then I had another one where I showed them a video from part of the training was a video from Financial Times called The London Laundromat. It's a bit, I think it's a bit like 1 or 2 years old now.
Okay. Yeah.
But I could see their eyes looking at it like these are people, either members of parliament or politicians talking about how London has been exploited by criminals and so on. And it's so interesting. That's more or less like, wow, that's what I'm going after that people, right? I'm working to prevent my firm being exploited by those type of criminals.
Take it away from just the sitting behind the desktop and realizing what you're actually doing.
Absolutely.
And I often think this is something that we speak to junior AML professionals, and I think sometimes there is a disconnect between what they're doing and the reality that it's fighting crime. It's anti-terrorism work. It's actually amazing. I just wanted to take a moment out to thank our amazing sponsor, the International Compliance Association. The ICA are the leading professional body for the global regulatory and financial crime community, offering professional qualifications, world-class events and training. Go check them out online, and if any of the certificates or courses take your fancy, then you can get 10% discount using our code AJFox10 at checkout.
Absolutely. I always, Amy Bell is a perfect example. Amy Bell, when I see Amy Bell in conferences or when we talk, like exchange messages, she always say, and we are actually in a message exchange yesterday via LinkedIn today. She always say fighting the baddies, and it's definitely true. I certainly didn't understand that was the case when I joined the industry. I didn't have the experience at the level of understanding to see like my firm or this organization is relying on me individually and in my team to prevent them from breaching regulation, to like being their eyes, being their specialist eyes, preventing them from breaching regulation, helping them in safeguard client trust, confidentiality, and all of that, but also preventing the firm from being abused by criminals. And day by day, I get surprised how the legal industry is really a target for criminals, right? In particularly, if you are in a firm with a higher risk appetite, you will see these attempts almost on a day-to-day basis. So you are playing quite a, I would say, the compliance team is a bit underestimated. Compliance teams are still a bit underestimated in some law firms. We are more or less the guardians of the firm goodwill and the firm reputation, which is one of the most important treasures that they have.
Absolutely. And I'd be quite keen to maybe dig in a little bit more in terms of some of the risks, maybe around the AI piece as well. But just before we do that, it'd be just to, I guess, finish the journey. It would be interesting to understand that. So obviously, from the analyst role, you're now in a management position. So do you want to talk us through that journey a little bit and how you found yourself working at management level?
Perfect. So I had some management experience from my previous industry. So for a completely different industry, but I had a bit of management experience from there. And again, I really like to work with people.
Yes. Yeah.
I really like to work with people, as I say, like more similar to in like with the training space, more as an exchange, so like teaching and learning from them as well. So when I first started to grow in risk compliance, not just because of the technical knowledge, but because of my relationship with people in the day to day, I think the focus of my role as a manager is exchange and development of people.
Yep.
But it's development just beyond of what development beyond of what a particular individual is expected to do in their role, right? I think what many managers forget is that you have an individual in front of you with objectives, aspirations, dreams, and someone that's relying on you to grow and to fulfill that goal. I think it would be very naive of me as a manager to look at an individual and trying to extract only what their job description is asking them to do, right? I always look at individuals separately as individuals, as human beings. I'm there to teach them not just the technical knowledge, but to help them if they have, for example, to give them the flexibility to ensure that I help them to work with a team that ensure that they can lean on their team if something goes on, to ensure that I actually talk to them individually to understand what is that you want to do, both within this law firm or for your career more in general. How can I, obviously within the limits, what can I do to help you? And it may be that I work with you and I develop you and you go or you stay. I'm not too concerned if you, obviously I want to stay, but I'm not too concerned if you
look after them.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure that if you are interested, because I think it's a two-way exchange. If an individual is interested in developing, have that curiosity that we have talked about, I will invest on you. But looking at you as an individual, there is no one size fits all when you are managing a team.
I think it's a fantastic approach, and it's really great to hear. And I think it's such an important piece of the puzzle to have that management and coaching skill set that you obviously have in the business and in the team. We speak, sadly, I guess we speak to a lot of firms who they often don't feel like they have time to train, time to coach. They want to hire people who can hit the ground running. And at the same time, we also don't see many firms that are spending money on coaching courses or training courses to help people be good managers. But I think it's such a powerful skill set to have in this space, and so important when you're looking after a function of analysts. One thing you touched upon before the podcast as well was the challenges around managing a hybrid team. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I think we have learned a different way of working, or at least this surface, right? I would not even go and point you too much at COVID, because COVID is such in the past and it's boring to talk about it. But people realize that, flexibility is important in our day-to-day. I think, for example, but in particular for functions like risk compliance, that you don't necessarily need to be in person to perform the role. So you see that, we have seen this insurge, and some people, employees actually asking to have that level of flexibility, and in some occasions not wanting to take a post because you don't want to give that level of flexibility. So I think the industry had to adapt to it. It's not an easy task. There are some, there is so much value in having in-person contact and having that team contact. But you can find that middle ground, you know, and you have to find that middle ground. Otherwise, you'll be in quite a difficult position with recruitment. People would not want to work for you if you don't offer that flexibility. I think for global law firms or law firms operating across borders, such as you know, as it's the case for Mishcon. For example, in our case, we do have our compliance function spread around the world. With like the bulk of our team sits in London, but we have analysts in Singapore. We have analysts in Singapore, and we are looking into extending our function across the board, both to serve our clients better in terms of time zone. As you know, today everything is urgent. The clients
24 hours.
It's more or less 24 hours, and you cannot extract as much. Like you cannot excruciate your team in one location only. So we had to, you know, extend our team and have teams in different time zones. But I think from a management perspective, you have to ensure that the experience for that team member sitting in London or sitting in Singapore or elsewhere is the same, right? I think most important of all is to trust the people that you are employing, right? You can't have analysts around the world, even analysts working from home, and not trust that they will do the job that they expect to do. You know, this is a contractor relationship. You are hiring someone who have a particular brief to perform that job. So you need to give the tools and the trust for people to perform the job. In terms of the global team, I think you have to try to find activities that will foster that team building culture. I have an amazing example of one of our analysts who sits in Singapore, who I would say is the most loved member by the global team. You know, just by the way that we get people to connect. I always say I never treat the London team differently from the Singapore team, different from the other team. You know, it's the same for everyone, and they are definitely trusted to their job. Obviously, we will look into performance. We will, you know, we have client base to serve. We definitely have to look into performance. But if you give the trust and the tools to the individuals that you are working for, they will work hard. They will fulfill the brief. They will be. I think they will be conscientious on the role that they play individually, and they will be afraid of disappointing the team. Right. I would say, if I could say it this way, it's challenging. Time is a bit stretched. You know, time is difficult. Like you really have to stretch yourself. But I think I don't manage individually. I have a team, you know, that I support on, that I trust on, that I spread duties on. So I don't have to hold other duties myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it, definitely.
And it's fantastic to hear that you've got people in other countries feeling part of the team. Are there things that you do as a team or individually to help foster that, you know, mentality of all being one big team?
Yeah, I think, for example, apart from training, when we deliver training, we deliver global training. So we always try to find the right space that goes across all time zones that we work with. You know, we always think about the message that we are sending to the team. That's not to, for example, it's not to UK specific. That applies to all. Sometimes team members come and work from the London office or the other way around. We have had Singapore analysts working with us in London, and that naturally, you know, you build a particular connection. Also, I would go and work from these jurisdictions as well. You know, I think obviously there is, in a large team, here we are talking about a team of approximately 40 analysts. So it's quite a large risk compliance team, and it's difficult to have day-to-day time for 40 members individually. but I do make a huge effort to try to be in contact with everyone, either directly or through the other managers I work with. I definitely, for example, in particular when we are doing a follow the sun type of approach, I make sure that there is a handover process between one team to the other, that there is an overlap between the times that they work. And I would see, like, in a day-to-day basis, people, like one of my analysts in the phone with the Singapore analyst, or they're in other time zones discussing a particular matter that they may end up working together.
Yeah, fantastic. That sounds really good. So we normally wrap up by asking our guests for advice for people getting into this space or at different levels in the space. But you've already given us so much advice. I mean, I think one of the things that stood out loud and clear for people at a more junior level is to foster and lean into that curiosity level. And there's huge amounts of advice you've given in terms of management style and building a team that work together. So instead, I thought maybe I'd ask you, you'd said before the podcast you had quite a clear idea of the highest and lowest moments in risk and compliance. So be super interested to hear those.
Yeah. So I think that I can start by the lowest
let's do that. End on a high.
In my career. So definitely the lowest point of my career was when I decided to make a career move for, I think following that curiosity, like I need to learn a little bit more outside of the firm that I'm at. So I applied for this role, everything perfect, amazing, great opportunity, step up, leaving an organization I loved very much, say, okay, off I go, I start a new job, everything goes seemingly fine, no problem with probation period and anything like that. But then I found myself in a team with a very low morale, where I started to have hints of lack of professionalism. For example, shouting, animosity, toxicity, and so on. And I got in panic at that time. I was really like, what do I do? I haven't been for that long in this organization. I definitely didn't know what to do. And that was starting to affect my mental health very badly. I found myself sitting in front of the computer and sweating and nervous about doing my job, or afraid of going a particular call with the team because there would be that environment, and that was causing a huge discomfort. I was so lucky that I had people to talk to, right? And AJ Fox was definitely there for me. Because I didn't know what to do. We were talking about this before the podcast. I didn't know what to do, and I called one of your team members and I say, please, I'm in that situation. What do I do? Help me. I don't want to destroy my career, but I want to leave. I can't stay here anymore. If I decided to go, we will be damaging my career. And I was met with what I needed at the moment, a lot of like warmth approach. Say, not at all. This is what you have to do. These are the options. Don't worry about it. You don't have to go through that situation anymore. And that was such a relief for me. We are talking about a period where that was COVID, that was not easy for everyone. Difficult period where I was going through some losses in my family as well. So I was quite...
Sounds very overwhelming.
It was very overwhelming, right? So I think one of the things I learned from that is that obviously come into an environment and give some time to understand it, and you need to understand whether that environment is for you, right? How you are being affected by it. I'm not saying, no risk and compliance department is easy. No job is a very fast-paced environment. There is no perfect risk and compliance team. Or if anyone knows about this perfect risk and compliance team, please let me know. I want to know a bit more about that. But there isn't. Teams go through challenges, so it's a difficult space to work. But you need to ensure that at least the basic lines of professionalism are there. That you need to understand. You need to be in a place where there is a good culture, there is respect, there is mutual respect.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I learned that don't be afraid to stand up and go if the environment's not for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I was lucky that then Mishcon came my way. And I've been there ever since. And I'm happy there. And what I think apart from the exciting work and the opportunities that I have there, the people, that is key.
Yeah.
Even for people who come and go from Mishcon, they still normally feel in contact. They still miss the team and that culture. We are very, we really don't, we are very protective about our environment and not to destroying that collegiality that we have amongst the team. So I think that's our biggest asset.
I think, it's really good advice to talk to people, whether that's, recruiters, but family, friends, anybody really, about never internalize those situations and reflect on how you're feeling and listen to yourself, I guess. And if things are not right, they're not right. That sounds like a challenging time. What about the highest moment in your career?
The highest moment, it's very difficult to pin the highest moment in my career because I feel that oftentimes I'm living such an amazing periods in my career. And this is one of them. I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad with the...
This is the highlight of your career today, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad to be able to come here and talk to our industry and share experiences. Is amazing to have this opportunity. It's not every day you come across it. So thank you very much. But I would say I do and that's for me, I do often see the highest point in my careers when, for example, I talked a lot about people and developing people, and I really love that. Sometimes I see people coming through the door where that there are good skills there, or there is potential, or that there is that curiosity in the individual, and you start to work with them. And over the years, you see that person develop in a way. And I had so many examples of that, of people coming and for me, finding the time and develop that people and bringing that confidence. I could see the skill in the person, but the person couldn't see themselves. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so working with the person to make them see, almost having a mirror in front of that person, say, look, I can see that amazing person that you are, and the skill that you have to trust there. And I had amazing examples of people coming through the door and then a couple of years later, perhaps not staying in the team, but going to fulfill amazing careers in other places. And you see that and meeting and seeing that very confident person, professional and developer. For me, that's this highlight. That's why I say I live the highlight in my careers quite often. Because my approach to management is to develop you. If you are interested in development, I will work to develop you. And if you stay with me or not, if I see you going in a highlight, that you made my day. I'm happy.
Sounds. I want to work in your team, Henry.
Please develop me. No, definitely. That's so important for me. That makes me extremely happy. And I think when I work, I always put myself in the shoes of these individuals. Investment doesn't necessarily have to do with a promotion or, well, obviously people work for, to grow and for money and all of that, but it's not just about that. Sometimes people are looking for the one-to-one investment, the attention, sometimes we just want to feel that we are cared for, that someone is listening to the objectives and the dreams and the things that you have. Sometimes it's just that. Sometimes it's just showing that, come here, I will help you. I will help you achieve this goal. So it's more or less a healthy exchange between someone coming and doing the job that they need to do, and you at the same time helping them fulfill a goal if you can. If I'm in an organization like that, I will work 3 times harder for you. Yeah. Right. So I think you can really see the flip side of that effect is if you, as a manager, if you think that you have to make a step by step of what everything has to do, and you have that micromanage, you get the opposite effect. And unfortunately, we still see that being the preferred style of management in many cases. It doesn't work, people. That's what I would say. It really doesn't work.
Well, Henry, honestly, there's so much advice for people at all different stages and levels in their career and risk and compliance there. So thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Adam. It has been amazing to be here. Thank you so much.
We really hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it. If you did, please do us a huge favour and share it with a friend or a colleague. The more people we can get listening, the more time and energy we can get into recording more episodes and getting the best guests and the most interesting stories and insights. I want to say a huge thank you to the ICA for their support, to Ty and Karem here in the studio, and a massive thanks to Kat for making sure everything runs so smoothly behind the scenes. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, follow us on LinkedIn to make sure you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.